Hello everybody and welcome to this midweek edition of Inside Africa. We begin by talking health in Ghana. Properly planned pregnancy is likely to go without complications if the right medical attention is sought. A diet is also important in ensuring a healthy gestation period. An obstetrician gynecologist at the specialist hospital, Dr. Michael McCarthy, affirmed that the period of pregnancy is special and must be monitored by well-trained personnel.
Pregnancy is not without its challenges, from the day of conception till birth and sometimes the period after. Some have a smooth and glowing gestation, while others transform dramatically and may have bouts of illness. In Accra, the first ever Women's Health Fair has been organized to educate women on the proper care during pregnancy and the period after. Mrs. Jean Oti is the event director.
The main aim of this event is to give women in Ghana the platform to raise more awareness about the increasing rate of maternity mortality, learn more about pregnancy and its aftermath, general upkeep of baby and mother, and what to wear during this period.
Family planning methods, maintaining good health during pregnancy, dieting, appropriate use of medicines in pregnancy were some of the areas touched on. A gynecologist at the Sinel Specialist Hospital, Dr. Michael McCarthy, spoke about the importance of planning pregnancy.
Just the fact that you are pregnant means that you need to take some additional precautions and you need to become very smart and wise about it so that you can address the issues that come.
A public health nurse at the Osu Maternity Home, Madam Cecilia Arthur, asked pregnant women to be cautious of the role of diet during the period. A representative from the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs, Madam Matilda Bafo, said government is committed to reducing the high levels of maternal mortality in order to meet the MDG 5.
Still in Ghana, the Asanteman Council has met at the Mesha Palace in Kumasi to deliberate on a number of important issues. Atamfua's regalia and gold nuggets, which got missing in Norway during an official visit, were high on the agenda. The membership of the council, which cuts across the Ashanti, Brunga Hafo, eastern and northern part of the Volta region, has the Asante Hene Atamfua Osei Tututu as chairman.
Over 60 paramount chiefs who owe allegiance to the Golden Stool attended the meeting. Officials from the Mesha Palace who were part of the Otumfuo's delegation to Europe briefed the meeting about the missing parcel at a hotel in Oslo, the Norwegian capital. The spokesperson of the Asantehene, Nana Edujemfi, who is also the Adontehene, confirmed the story that the ornaments were stolen. He, however, said 2 persons have been arrested by the Norwegian police for interrogation, but none of the items has so far been retrieved. He said the 2 suspects who are in police custody are believed to be of Tunisian and Mexican origins. Nana Edujemfi's statement was corroborated by the chief linguist who was part of the delegation. The chief linguist added that when the delegation checked in at the hotel, the bag containing the ornaments was mistakenly left at the front desk, only to realize later that it had been stolen.
Free Amsterdam. We say you do honor omubi sadinaso. Emma you no mo kasaso. Nti gate kura na ye go from gate 36. Yes as the ko gate 32. Eba sa na ye ne ko ya han kakra. Nti Emma ye nyina eja enema ne guta ye no. Emma ye ko di sebe the passport. Papa so ye dinas one near chida na ha adwene. Nti e di achire e ko di sebe he dancer foa na ye froslo no. Eho na sa kwansia no sebe e de to ye. O ko bodwa ba mpenu mprensa ne mo de kro. Na da ko peso de odo mebru nya ne ma sebe so nkasi bia. Nti ni nyina kwa na ni adakam. O bag sebe kokruwa bu a ne kuta ba force man kwa hene. Emi say na ewo bag kokruwa mu nti no na e ma refie e ba no so a sebe e dan hu gakra bi sade no ko siye.
Otumfuo said to and some members of the delegation were not in Oslo at the time of the incident, as they made a transit through London. The Asantehene was invited by the Norwegian African Business Association to present a paper at its General Conference in Oslo. Otunfo also met with the Norwegian Parliament, where they discussed issues of international significance. Otunfo's spokesperson said it was rather unfortunate that the visit was overshadowed by the theft.
Now, the African Union Commission's first female chairperson, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, has talked about the challenge of her new role. She also spoke about the powers of the continental body in turbulent times.
It has been a landmark year for Dlamini Zuma, who was elected the first female head of the African Union Commission in July, ending a leadership battle that had threatened to divide and weaken the organization. Dlamini Zuma had to undergo 3 voting rounds before she took over from former Chair Jinping. 4 months after taking office, the South African diplomat is getting down to business. She says the continent would progress faster and see conflicts reduce if member countries focus on implementing policies that encourage development.
On our continent, the vast majority of our countries are stable. And what they need is development. And I think it's important to always remember that the most important thing for the majority of the countries is development. And therefore, we must work both peace and security, but also development. Because development is also a way of preventing conflicts.
Dlamini Zuma is facing immediate challenges as the AU tries to gain UN Security Council backing for a military intervention in northern Mali, where local and foreign Al-Qaeda-linked jihadists seized control after a destabilizing coup in the southern capital, Bamako, in March. The 63-year-old also said that an African plan for military intervention in Mali to help government troops reclaim territory from Islamist militants will be ready within weeks. Dlamini Zuma has also inherited a dispute with the International Criminal Court (ICC) that has issued warrants of arrest in recent years for African leaders like Sudan's Omar al-Bashir, who is accused of masterminding genocide and other atrocities in Darfur. The ICC's chief prosecutor has called for aid cuts to countries that failed to detain President Bashir. African heads of state voted in 2009 not to cooperate with the ICC indictments, saying they would hamper efforts to end Sudan's multiple conflicts, and criticized the court for unfairly targeting African countries. Bashir has since visited Kenya and Chad, both ICC members, as well as Ethiopia, Eritrea, and other countries.
Yes, I will be taking guidance from all the member states. And the ICC is, as I say, is not our court. We have our own courts. And I think that's where we should be looking at developing capacity and seeing if we can deal with issues there. And therefore, I still maintain that because the ICC is not part of our statutes, is not part of the courts that all of us have joined. So as the AU, we cannot take a stand to use the ICC.
Dlamini Zuma had served as South Africa's Home Affairs Minister and Minister of Health and Foreign Affairs.
A judicial commission in South Africa is investigating the killing of 44 people during a protest at Lonmin mine in August. But workers at the world's top platinum producer say police are putting them in jail to prevent them from testifying.
Ngelwa is worried. It's still tense for miners in Marikana, despite the end of a 6-week strike, and he's afraid for his family.
Things are not good here. We have gone back to work, but we are not happy. We are not at peace.
Workers and management at Lonmin Platinum Mine are trying to recover after weeks of unrest. A judicial commission of inquiry is looking into what happened at Marikana when 44 people were killed in August. It's a painful experience for those who lost relatives. Some miners think the timing of the arrests is suspicious.
We know the police who have been shooting to us, who they've been doing silly things, so they are taking us off They don't want us to go and testify because we are going to tell the truth. And we are going to point them. If they want us to point them, we are going to point them.
It's an allegation the police deny, saying those arrested so far are suspected of being involved in the deaths of rival union leaders.
The police have got a job to do. We've got murders that have taken place. We need to bring those perpetrators to book. And those perpetrators have been identified through various evidence that's been obtained. And those are the people that we've been arresting.
Frustrated miners have held meetings where 34 of their colleagues were shot and killed by police. They're threatening to go on another strike if the alleged intimidation continues. The police have assured lawyers representing the arrested miners they will be allowed access to their clients to prepare them for the inquiry. But some here don't believe them.
Leaving South Africa, the new Somali administration is calling for a ban on charcoal exports. The move comes amid both security and environmental concerns in a country newly emerging from civil war and famine.
The Somali government has reiterated a ban on charcoal exports in line with the UN Security Council Resolution 2036 that urged all member states to take the necessary measures to prevent the export and import of charcoal from the strife-torn nation. The government made the request for the ban on the grounds that the charcoal business is not only hazardous to the environment but also detrimental to the security efforts. Almost 80 to 90% of exported charcoal passes through Kismayo, 500 kilometers south of the capital Mogadishu, and mostly exported to the Persian Gulf states and Saudi Arabia.
According to the Security Council, the ban of charcoal was approved sometimes few months ago, and the statement from the Office of the President also agreed that. So that is the Somali government does not allow for any charcoal trade at this moment.
The UN Security Council has in the past said that charcoal exports from Somalia are a significant revenue source for Al-Shabaab and also excavate the humanitarian crisis. The current Somali administration has also expressed deep concerns of any possibility to violate the UN Security Council resolution that bans charcoal. The government argues that it is in the process of forming a task force to make sure and prevent any violations of the charcoal ban in the port of Kismayo. Currently, the port of Kismayo is non-operational, but the government hopes to open it soon.
It's a little bit too early for opening everything, but there is no any particular reason that it's been closed, but the operation is still starting very slowly.
President Hassan Sheikh argues that the clear position of his administration is to maintain the seaport and the airport facility in Kismayo solely open for humanitarian assistance. Al-Shabaab's control of the town ended after it was seized in early October by Somali and Kenyan troops who are part of AMISOM.
The Amazon forces and the Somali military forces, they are controlling for the area, and we don't want to get the risk of the Al-Shabaab. We have to control all the area first, and then it will start in operating for the port of Kismayo.
According to the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Somalia is one of 13 African countries that will face water scarcity by 2025, partly because of human activities such as deforestation for charcoal production, overgrazing or overcrowding around watering points.
Moving on, Ugandan lawmakers have called for the withdrawal of the country's troops from war-ravaged Somalia. They denounced the latest UN report accusing Uganda for supporting the Democratic Republic of Congo M23-based rebels.
Several of Uganda's lawmakers are demanding that government pulls out its troops from Somali capital Mogadishu, following series of accusations by the United Nations against the East African country.
The UN Security Council should review and withdraw their recommendation that they made and observation saying Uganda is taking part in supporting the M23. This is not fair. It's totally demoralizing, especially to our defense forces that we've kept on shifting from one country to another after being called on by either the AU or the UN.
Days after the UN issued a damning report accusing the country of supporting the DR Congo-based M23 rebels fighting the Kinshasa administration, tension remained high among Ugandan legislators who are waiting for a report from a team of experts comprised of both members of the country's defense and foreign affairs ministry currently studying the UN report in order to take action.
This is not the first time UN reports have been found not correct. because sometimes some of their people don't do proper research. So I hope the truth will be found out, and Uganda's name will remain as she has always done, as Uganda has always looked for all means and ways of maintaining peace in the region.
Precisely, they should withdraw their statement and give Uganda the image that it deserves, the dignity and integrity that it has always supplied to the world, that we are pro-peace, we are fought for peace, and we are delivering peace. We don't like war, we don't like segregation, we don't like fighting, we don't like conflict.
According to the country's foreign ministry, the East African country is in the process of reviewing its mission in Somalia, which many fear could lead to troop withdrawal if the diplomatic standoff between the world body and Uganda is not addressed.
Let's now talk culture on this edition of Inside Africa. Kenya's Korigoko slum on Nairobi's outskirts is not the kind of place that inspires high art, but a youth orchestra called Ghetto Classics is helping young musicians discover music like Brahms and Beethoven. The orchestra is made up entirely of people living in the slum who struggle to master their borrowed or donated instruments. But Ghetto Classics is about more than just beautiful music. It is about giving orchestra members the skills and confidence they need to help them escape the slum.
A church group makes its way through the Korogocho slum on Nairobi's outskirts. It is crowded, grimy and poor, not the kind of place that inspires high art. But in a dingy room overlooking a vast rubbish dump, a group of young musicians is discovering the likes of Brahms and Beethoven. This is the Ghetto Classics, a youth orchestra made up entirely of people drawn from the slum, struggling to master their borrowed or donated instruments and play as a unified whole.
But this project is about a good deal more than simply making beautiful music in an ugly place. This is about giving the orchestra members the skills and the confidence they need to help them escape it.
19-year-old Samuel Otieno is an orphan who has found something rare. In his tiny shared room, he snatches a few moments with the hymn And Can It Be. Before he found music, he faced a life on the streets. But then he discovered his precious trombone. First the shape drew him to it, then the sound, then the opportunity.
Since I realized that I have a talent here, and since I work hard, since I have to work hard in music, I need to some days take me somewhere.
The community is proud of the Ghetto Classics. They might not sound perfect, but for its founder, that's not the point.
Realistically, we may not find that many, world-class musicians here, but through music, I feel we can change who they are from inside, and therefore also change not just them, but their peers, their family, and the community through music.
It's hard to find a quiet space in the slum, but somehow they manage. For all the grand ambitions, just the chance to learn and master a classical instrument is itself a valuable thing.
To conclude the program, hundreds of visitors are drawn to different parts of Ethiopia to explore the ancient architectural wonders of churches and landscape, among others. Recently, a group of tour